Welcome to the Jenks and the Hammer podcast. Bringing you the latest NFL news and insights from the perspectives of two die-hard fans. Join your hosts, Grayson Jenkins and John Hammerly, as they dive deep into the world of football, along with a special focus on the New Orleans Saints and the Green Bay Packers. So sit back, relax, and get ready for some football talk with Jenks and the Hammer.
Hey, here we go!
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Jenks and the Hammer podcast. Hope you guys had a great weekend. We got an awesome episode for you guys today with a special guest, the only Commanders fan I know, Ned Stimpson.
Hell yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you guys for having me.
Ned.
It's awesome to be here. It's a pleasure, seriously.
It's awesome to have Ned. Life is better with Ned. Life is better with Ned Stimpson.
Thank you.
Around. So we got a good episode. We're going to be talking some Commanders with Ned, and then we're going to break down our top 8 edge rushers in this upcoming draft. So let's get right into it.
Let's do it. All right, hopping right into the Commanders section. We got a few questions we're going to ask Ned just to kind of see how he became a Commanders fan, what he thinks about the Commanders this offseason and this upcoming season. Let's get right into it. So, Ned, from New York City, you never really grew up in Washington, anything like that. So how did you become a Commanders fan? What's that story?
Fun fact, I actually went to D.C. for the first time to see a game in 2021. So it was the only time I've been to D.C. was to see the Commanders live. Taylor Heineke started, and we lost a horrible game to the Philadelphia Eagles. Through a heartbreaking interception in the fourth quarter. Thank you, Taylor Heineke. I'll never forgive you for that. All right, so yeah, being from New York City, I know it's unconventional to be a Commanders fan, apart from the absurdity that it is to be that anyway. I should be a Giants fan. And honestly, this is all like to the fault of my dad. I love my dad. We've bonded over football, but I have not forgiven him since he made me a Commanders fan. We watch these guys lose every year, and it's like solely his fault. And so you must say, oh, yeah, my dad, he's probably from Washington, D.C. He is not. He's from Bangor, Maine. So this gets even stranger. Like, why is he not a Patriots fan? Why couldn't I have witnessed like 5 Super Bowls by now? Yeah. I don't know. And it's actually because my dad's brother is a Cowboys fan. And so my dad
so just the rivalry.
Yeah. He was very bent on rivaling the Cowboys, and that's how he dragged me into this. And fun fact, I'm actually wearing a shirt my dad got me. Scary Terry, my favorite player. Terry. I'm here to plug him as always. So yeah, that is how I became a Commanders fan in short.
Scary Terry. Who's your favorite player growing up?
So the first year I really started following was Robert Griffin's rookie year. It was 2012. Okay. I didn't really follow before that. Okay. I'd like to think that if I had been a fan since I'd been like 5, my favorite player would have been Sean Taylor. Rest in peace. He would have turned 40 yesterday. But so, I guess growing up it was kind of RG3. And then as I got, to playing football myself and playing receiver, we had a pretty good receiver group when I was in high school. We had like Pierre Garçon, Deshaun Jackson, Jameson Crowder for a little bit there. And I was really a huge fan of those guys. Yeah, those guys were awesome.
Jordan Reed at tight end.
Jordan Reed was a wideout.
That's a blast.
He was really cool. Yeah. Commanders football was like really fun to watch when I was getting into it. Now it sucks.
Now it sucks. So speaking, now it sucks. This organization, it's been through a lot these past couple of years. So how do we feel about Dan Snyder kind of maybe selling a team, maybe not? And if he does sell a team, who would you like to be the new owner?
Yeah. So to preface this, when I got the notification on my phone that Dan Snyder had hired Bank of America, I was in class and I started just absolutely losing it. I was like wiggling around in my seat. My friend next to me was like, "Hey man, are you okay? Do you need to like exit the room?" I showed them and they were like, "Oh my goodness, that's exciting!" And I was like, "Yeah, it is. It's the best thing to happen to the franchise since I've been a fan, like easily." And with that said, I'm really excited for him to sell. If he doesn't, it would be nothing short of heartbreaking. I'm someone who invests myself in these stories. He has sold his Potomac home in Maryland. He spends most of his time in the United Kingdom. And I hear that people, are really far along with these bids. And I know that there's a group that exceeds $6 billion. And with that said, yeah, I fully expect him to sell. And if he doesn't, I'll be really upset. And I think most fans would agree with me that they'd be very upset. As it pertains to who we want, the answer is like literally anybody. Like actually of any, like, because I know it's, there's like Bezos is in the running, there's like a group with Josh Harris. There might be a third group. If any of those people purchase the Commanders, it'll be a home run. I love that. I'm pretty sure though Josh Harris and company are most
I think Magic
serious
Johnson,
potential
too.
buyers, though.
Yeah.
Magic Johnson might be involved. It's a couple of people. I have no problem with that. I love what Josh Harris has done. I mean, I don't know much about the guy, but he turned the 76ers around. They're a pretty good basketball club. So, yeah, would totally be cool with that group considering they're the only real series win right now.
Yeah, anyone that's living, breathing, heart beating.
Seriously, they're just better than Dan Snyder, man. The worst scenario is him keeping the team for sure, which I really do not want to happen.
Yeah.
You think he does anything to try to like sabotage the team before he leaves?
There was a thought, I read into what I would call just a wild shot in the dark about, trying to give Lamar Jackson like a 6-year fully guaranteed deal as almost not even like a sabotage kind of thing, but more trying to like save his own legacy. You sign this guy who wins a Super Bowl with the new ownership. You're like, okay, well, Dan Snyder signed that guy. So maybe it's like that kind of thing, but I think he's kind of given up. The Commanders have not spent big in free agency. They haven't really committed to anybody. And I think it's because, with new ownership, you have a transition year with Ron Rivera. He's in year 4. And I think if you have a bad year, you fire Ron Rivera and you clear house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of like free agency, you guys brought in Jacoby Brissett. And now with him and a younger guy, Sam Howell, do you think Jacoby Brissett's more of just kind of like a mentor guy for him, or do you think there's actually going to be like a quarterback competition? Who do you think's going to be the starting quarterback?
Oh man, you just set me off. I could talk about this for like literally an hour because I'm a huge fan of Sam Howell. I think that he was criminally underrated coming out. I thought people say he fell off in 2021. I think you look at those stats and you say it's like a half decent year. I think he threw something like 24 touchdowns to 11 interceptions, and he ran for 8 more touchdowns. It's 32 total touchdowns. And he lost like 2/3 of his offensive starters. He was pretty good. UNC just wasn't that good. You can't do it alone. Football's a team game. And I think Jacoby Brissett he's a really smart guy. He is a rep of being somebody who doesn't cause a lot of drama. He's a good backup. We watched Taylor Heineke sign with the Falcons. Sad, albeit, it was probably time for him to go. Carson Wentz is atrocious. You don't want him back. You don't want him touching a football within like 1,000 yards of your facility. And I think Jacoby Brissett's more of like a backup mentor. I don't know if you want me to go on for the next 15 minutes about the things I like about Sam Howell. I could, just because I think he has some of the best deep ball accuracy of anybody coming out. I think he's great in that. I think his overall accuracy and his delivery are really underrated. And I think he has to do a couple things. He's a much smaller guy to be good in the NFL. He's not 6'5", but I think those are really teachable things. I think Sam Howell is going to be the starter week 1.
So taking a QB in the first round off the table?
I wouldn't do it.
You don't want it?
I don't want Will Levis at 16. And that's the only guy I think
Will Levis.
Like, would you take like Hooker?
Absolutely not.
Second round?
No.
I just
don't like
think it's
Hooker?
tough.
What's wrong with him?
You know what I will say? Like we talked about this a little bit before we started this. I needed to unstick what I want the Commanders to do versus what I think they're going to do. And here's one thing I'll say about Sam Howell. Last year, they really liked him. They liked him a lot. They only took him because he slid really far. If they had an alternate route in which they wanted to go with like a real vet, like someone who's going to back him up, and they wanted to take Sam Howell like the second round. They wanted to take Sam Howell with like the first 50 picks. And some people had him as a first rounder last year, and when they got him in the 5th, they felt that they had a steal. And I think now it's a situation where they think they have their guy, and they think they got him in the bargain bin. They think they got him for nothing. So I don't think they're going to go quarterback in those first 2 days unless something crazy were to happen. Anthony Richardson slides to the 12th pick. Maybe they start talking about trading up. Or even if Will Levis slides to the 16th pick, I suppose that's not out of the realm of possibility. I don't see them making that splash move where they kind of reach on a guy. I don't think you'll see Hendon Hooker go off the board at 16th pick. I'd actually bet
that'd be a reach for sure. I think he's a second round.
Even in the second round, I don't think we'd go get him in the second. Maybe if Hendon Hooker was there on day 3, maybe you'd be like, all right, we need to start talking about taking this guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is a young team. I think, as everyone knows, the Commanders, like, say what you want about the organization, they're always in it every year, like fighting for like a wild card. They are, you know what I mean? They're gonna win. They're gonna win 6-7 games, like they do.
Yeah.
Right? They never really blow it. Like, they don't sell, and it's like they got really good receivers. They always have a solid defense. That defensive line is awesome. Yeah. So it's kind of like, we're like after free agency, before the draft. Like, where do you think this team kind of ends up this next year?
You know what I will say is there's two situations that I'd like to see. I'd obviously like to see the Commanders go to the playoffs. If the Commanders win 9 games or more and they go to the playoffs, I would have no issue. I'd be pretty happy with that, especially with the guy who's effectively playing in his rookie year. He only played 1 game last year.
Yeah.
The other situation I'd like to see is I'd like to see him tank it. I think I'm looking ahead. I think 2024 is going to be the best year for the quarterback since 2020. You got a guy in Caleb Williams who Sean Payton was like, this could force the tanking issue on the NFL because people are going to lose games for this guy. Now, I don't know whether or not that's true. I don't really think that tanking is a real thing that happens. But when you get someone who's a pundit or an analyst who's saying that, you best believe the guy's pretty good. And I mean, you watch Caleb Williams, and you're like, dude, this guy kind of reminds me of the guy wearing 15 in Kansas City. Like, he's that good. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, if we're not going to the playoffs, I'd love to see us win 1 game. And it's bad, but I think the worst place, the last place I want to be, I know as John mentioned, is that middle ground, dude. I don't want to win 6 games. I really don't want to do that,
Which is what you guys tend to do every year. Right?
Yeah, which I'm a little scared of. No, I'm a little scared of. I'll admit that. In 2020, we had the 2nd overall pick. That was the last time we had a really bad year. It was 2019. Got Chase Young. Unfortunate, hindsight's 2020. You would have wanted Justin Herbert with that pick, but it happens. I would hope that we stink this year if we're not kind of good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess we talked about like quarterbacks that you guys could possibly take in the draft. You guys, and you said how you separate what they do versus what you want. What do you want them to pick first round? Like, what do you see them going out to get that would benefit the team the most?
I think this is a very specific situation. If this happens, I'd be very surprised. What I would like them to do is I'd like them to trade back and then go get a tight end. I'd like to see, just acquire a little bit more capital. We lost our 3rd round pick because of the Carson Wentz trade. I'd like to see us trade a little bit back to maybe towards the back end of day 1, pick up, 1 or 2 day 2 picks and a day 3 pick, and go get a tight end, man. Go get like Michael Mayer. And if Michael Mayer's off the board, I'm going to start thinking about Dalton Kincaid because he can catch the ball really well. And Eric Bieniemy's offense was around Travis Kelce. He's calling the offensive shots. I'd really like to see them get a tight end. But what I think is going to happen is I know that they really like Logan Thomas. They really like some of the young guys they have in there. They think Logan Thomas got better as he got healthier. So I don't think they're going to go tight end for the first 2 days. I'd be very surprised if they did that. I think they'll probably go O-line or corner. Or if someone's falling, then steal. But outside of that, I think it's between those 2 positions.
Yeah, and that's another thing. You even just mentioned it, that a lot of things get forgotten for the Commanders, like in the offseason. Like, no one really cares about the Commanders. But Eric Bieniemy going there, Sam Howell now has a lot of things going for him. He has Eric Bieniemy to coach him up. Like you said, they might get a couple weapons in the draft, like a tight end, something like that. So they got a lot going for him. I could see him definitely doing a lot better than last year. Yeah, Sam Howell taking over for a whole year is going to be good for him.
I think the thing that's going to be big for Sam Howell is being able to get his footwork right. I didn't really like the depth he got in his drops during the preseason. I thought it kind of put him at a point where the pressure was all in his face. Not being a really tall guy, it gets harder to throw around those guys. Yeah. You have to start switching up your arm angles a lot.
5 and up.
You got to start throwing around guys. You got to start throwing sidearm. So I think if Sam Howell can get like really good depth in his drops, and I think if he can change his arm angles a little bit, then he has a chance to be successful. I mean, I know with Drew Brees, one thing he did was he took these crazy steep drops. Drew Brees would drop like 8 yards down.
Drop so far back.
Yeah, he's got it. He's a shorter guy. And that was the one thing I was worried about with Sam Howell is it would be like he would do it slowly, and the line of scrimmage would move towards him faster. That's what I'd want to see him get some depth. But I think if he does that, they've got good weapons. Those 3 receivers are pretty good. John Dotson's going to be good. Terry McLaurin's already good. I think they got to protect him a little bit. The line was bad. You get a guard. You get maybe a tackle. I'm not really a Charles Tunnel fan. It'd be pretty good, on offense at least.
Yeah, and your position in the draft, too. I think you guys are, 16, 18, something like
16,
that?
16, yeah.
I think that's, prime position to get, a tight end.
Yeah.
Right? Because you
got your pick.
I don't think a tight end's going in the top 15.
Yeah, we'll be able to take the first one probably.
Yeah, and the corner class is really deep. I think there's 4 guys go in the first round. Same thing with tackles, so...
Yeah,
you guys are in a good place.
Yeah, I just personally, I'm a trade down guy. My personal NFL philosophy, if I was the GM of a team, I would always be trading down and acquiring future capital. So I love the trade we made last year. I mean, think about it. The Saints and us, we had a little exchange. I know Grayson might have some different opinions from me on this trade, but I feel as though we won that trade. They got 11, we got 16, we got 98, we got 150, and we got 160. And with that, you guys got Olave. We got Jahan Dotson. We got
I
Brian
think it's an even
Robinson.
trade. Yeah.
And we got Sam Howell. That's a haul. Chris Olave can be a great player. Chris Olave can turn into an all-pro year this year. And if Sam Howell's a starting quarterback and Jahan Dotson's a pro bowler, that's like pretty good value, man. So I'm a little trade down guy. I want to see us trade down.
Both teams benefited.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, trading down, like, a lot of people don't see it as like an attractive thing in the NFL for a team to do, but like there's always value on the other side. Like you're getting more picks, and in the NFL draft, if they know who they want is going to be available later in later rounds, it's worth it every time. So
for sure. I mean, also just like I think that's huge. That's because you look at the teams that have been successful in the NFL in the recent years, and they've just been teams that like stockpiled future assets. You look at the Dolphins, you look at the 49ers, what they did with their rosters in like 2020, where they started kind of shipping guys off for first round picks when they could get the value. Yeah, they built some crazy rosters there. Yeah. I mean, you look at the return on like the Laramie Tunsil trade that the Dolphins made a couple years ago. Shout out Alex Gardner. I hope he watches this because he talks to me about that all the time. They ended up with Tyreek Hill out of that trade with an asset they got. Yeah, that trade like 2018, dude. They got Tyreek Hill last offseason. So, I'm big on trading back and just trading your guys in general, which is kind of messed up, too.
Yeah. I mean, I hear it all the time with my dad being a 49ers fan. Like, they're like...
That's a 49ers fan.
Yeah, like, we made trades. We got McCaffrey, and it's like, oh, yeah, we still got 10 picks in this draft. It's So, backload and, trade that first, second round, go get a superstar, and then you got 10 more picks in the back end. So
I also do. I think the Chris McCaffrey trade in retrospect was crazy. What they get for like a second, third, fourth, or something? No first round pick, no day one pick.
Three picks, but not
three
a first.
Picks, day two and later. Are you kidding me? For the guy who's maybe the best running back in the NFL.
Yeah, but I guess that's the flip side too. I guess it's just a running back, right?
Yeah, the running back. I'm
tough
familiar
for value.
with
and he's had bad injury history too. If you think about it,
that's true. That's true.
All right. Well, Ned, thank you so much for coming on.
No problem, guys. It was awesome to be here. I hope that I can get on again at some point.
Of course.
Yeah, we'll definitely bring you back for receivers. So, guys, if you like listening to Ned's takes, we'll be back on for our top 8 receivers. So, look forward to that.
Awesome. Thank you again, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Yep. What's up, guys? Welcome to the last segment of the day. We got our top 8 edge defenders in this upcoming draft. Let's get right into it. At number 8, we have
Adetomiwa Adebayor, whose name John couldn't pronounce, which I get, but
I couldn't figure it out. All right, he's from Northwestern. He's 6'2", 282 pounds. He ran a 4.49 at the combine. Had a good career at Northwestern. Not any crazy numbers, but he was consistent. He's kind of a tweener though, between edge and interior. He's a little too short to play edge, and he's a little too light to play interior. So it's gonna be interesting to see whoever drafts him, how they use him.
What they do with him, yeah.
They're good. I mean, he's super athletic. I mean, if you grew in a 4.4 at 280 pounds...
That's an athletic freak.
I think you're athletic. Has a really awesome, explosive upper and lower body. He's quick. He's quick off the line. Quick first step. He can make play. And he's in the... across his face quick. He's in the C gap. He can make plays in the B gap. Slips past blockers with a good punch and release move, and he's good against the run. The body type, right? I mean, we don't really know what he's going to be. He's probably going to be edge, but even that, he's a little too little to do that. He missed a lot of tackles, has bad instincts, and he's got stiff hips when you watch him play. He's a little stiff down low, which makes sense just because of his size. His potential. I've seen him going maybe late first, but I think he's going to end up going early second. I mean, the top 8 guys that we're going to better break down, 6 of them are going in the first round.
Yeah.
So he's on the bubble. Could he go? Maybe. If he does, I like the Chiefs and the Eagles. If not, he's going to be an early second round pick. I could see this guy maybe going higher if he went to a bigger school, but he didn't. He went to Northwestern. And it's going to be really interesting to see where he goes because, like I said, he's a tweener, so it's going to be interesting to see how the team uses him. And, I mean, I don't think he's going to be anything crazy. I think he's just going to be a decent, good football player for any team.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a solid, even if he's just a rotational guy, he's going to be a solid player. wherever he
Yeah.
goes. So
Not a
we'll see.
superstar, but yeah.
Yeah, so at number 7, honestly, is the most exciting guy for me in this position group for the Saints, because I think he's going to be there for us at the end of the first round. And I'm going to be honest, we need a D end. Our edge players are kind of other than Cam Jordan. Like, we got Cam Jordan. I want to say we still have Peyton Turner, and then I think we just signed back. Was it Granderson? Or I'm honestly blanking on the guy we just signed back. But we need another edge. And we also need a defensive tackle. But D end, BJ Ojolari fits the mold for the Saints so well. Like, because what we need is a speedy pass rusher. The last few years we've had big dudes. Marcus Davenport was a bust, and what he was just a big dude who could set the edge on runs, but he didn't really have any impact, it felt like, on pass rush. So BJ Ojolari, he's 20 years old, so he's young compared to this class. He's 6'2", 248, and he can cause problems in the NFL 100%. He had 5.5 sacks, 8.5 tackles for loss, and 58 total tackles this past season. And this guy off the edge, when you see him on film, he's so fast. He's so quick off the edge, and he has long arms to make long tackles, diving tackles, stuff like that. You see him chasing the guy from behind like half the time. Like, half of his plays on film, he's chasing a quarterback who's rolling out all the way across the field, and he gets to him almost every single time. So I'm really intrigued on to teams if they let him fall to the end of the first round for the Saints. But some of his weaknesses are he's able to improvise. Like, he's not able to improvise when his first move doesn't work. So, like, on a pass rush, being like a fast speed rusher, if he doesn't get past the guy, he kind of doesn't really know what to do. He gets kind of stuck on the blocker. He can't really set the edge on run plays. So, like Marcus Davenport, like I just mentioned, he's not the best at setting the edge on those sorts of plays. And then his strength, just in general for the NFL level, he's a little bit weaker. I would really like to see him getting into the gym with whatever team he signs, the NFL, like a strength coach, training him up. But just like on film, like I said, he's so exciting to watch. There was a play against Florida State, quarterback's rolling out right. You see BJ Ojolari, like the flash, come up 10, 15 yards just in a snap, and he's already in his face. So if he gets signed to the Saints, I love it. I think it's a great deal, and I'm excited for it. And then the next guy, I forgot I'm number 6 as well. We got Will McDonald the fourth. He's from Iowa State. He's 6'4" and 239 pounds. He's 23 years old, so he's a little bit older, but he's a very athletic guy. He's quick to get to the edge. He has great bend, and he's able to get really low. Like, his hand like almost touches the ground when he's rushing the quarterback off the edge. And he's able to execute the few pass rush moves that he uses. So, like, the few moves he uses, because he doesn't have a huge arsenal, he's perfect with them. Like, he aces them 100%. And one thing that I found was really interesting, I believe he had only 5 sacks this past season, but he had double-digit sacks 2 seasons prior to that. So I'm interested to see, like, was that a consistency problem? Did he just not get the same good looks? I don't know what happened with that, but he has the production ability, so I'm interested to see if he's able to keep it going. He's not the best in the run game, though. Same thing for BJ Ojolari. That's why they're kind of end of first round guys. I see him going to the end of first round. Getting off blocks in the run game as well, like I said, he just kind of gets stuck on the blocks. So I'm really interested to see, is he able to develop that side of his game, just get better on that side of the game in general. I see him going to the late first round, early second round possibly if he falls a little bit. And the team I see possibly taking would be the Chiefs. Just late in the first round, I really think it's a good fit for him, especially if the Saints pick BJ Ojolari right ahead of the Chiefs. So I'm interested to see how he goes.
At number 5, we got probably the most interesting guy. I think the guy that definitely risen up a lot of draft boards. Nolan Smith, right? This guy,
Right.
yeah, from Georgia, 6'2", 238 pounds. He ran a 4.39 at the combine. That's fast. But again, that's fast, but also look at his size, right? I mean, he's not like our number 8 guy, but he had a good career at Georgia, on that defense, monster defense. His numbers don't blow you away by any means, but he's consistent. He's a tough player. He attacks the pulling guards, tackles coming his way. He takes it on. Has good hands, and he's very athletic. The bad thing is, though, he's undersized. I mean, he's 6'2", 230 pounds. I mean, hey, that's some QBs in the league. He's undersized. He has the speed, but he lacks the power rushing. He's not going to bull rush you into the QB's lap, but
Yeah.
he can run past you. Sometimes with his size, he's got problems shedding blocks, and he's got to be better with his pursuit, especially when he has that speed, that combine speed. Like you don't always see it on tape.
He doesn't utilize it. Yeah.
No, so he's got to be better there. But he definitely. I thought he was going in the second round. Now he's going to be a top 20 pick because of the combine he had. He's going to be a top 20 pick. I think he could be a really good starter if a team knows how to use him, and just let him go rush and run around tackles. Maybe just like a third down guy, honestly. He's not the best against the run. I think he's undersized to be a 3-4 linebacker. So yeah, it depends what the team, uses him for. The Packers have 15. It's definitely a realistic spot. The Packers the past 2 years have had 3 first-round draft picks. They've taken 3 Georgia defenders who had awesome combines. Eric Stokes, Devontae Wyatt, Quay Walker. Could this be number 4? Maybe, right? Everyone could use pass rusher. Everyone could use, someone extra on the edge. Nolan Smith's probably going to be there at 15. If he's there, could Green Bay take him? Without a doubt. If not, I could see him going the Eagles, Titans, Texans, Jets, and you're going to see this with our next 2-3 guys. Through 10 and 15 in the draft,
There's so
with
many
these
teams,
Eagles, Titans, Texans, Jets, and the Packers. Patriots are in that too, but I don't know. But even that team, they could get an edge rusher, but like those teams, those are where the edges are going to go. I could see 3 of them taken in those 5 picks. So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting. But that's when the run's going to go on them, to be honest. I think 2 of them are going to go in the top 10, and I think 2 and 3 or 3 of them could go in between 10 and 15. But that's Nolan Smith.
Yeah, so at number 4, we got a guy who I honestly personally don't feel is a first-round talent, but he's got the first-round tangibles. He's got the size. So it's going to be Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa. He's 6'5", 272, and he's built like Thor. This guy is huge, and you see him in pictures.
Not as good looking, though.
Yeah, not as good looking as
Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah,
Woo!
but he ran a 4.58 40 at 272, that's impressive. Like it's just impressive. He benched 17 reps, and over the last 2 seasons, he had 13 sacks, 19 tackle for losses, and that's impressive. But here's the most interesting thing with Lucas Van Ness. He never started a game for Iowa, not once. I don't know if that's because he's just a key rotational guy, or the coaches just felt like he wasn't startable. Like maybe he wasn't consistent enough. So I think that's something NFL teams are going to look at, but I do still see him going in the first round, like I'm going to talk about right now. So he can play both inside and outside with his size, 272, 6'5". He's big enough to plug the holes on the inside, and he's fast enough to get off the outside. So he uses a good bull rush on pass plays and uses his size well. He's able to utilize his size, his frame, and so he knows how to use his, like I said, just the size in general. It works out for him. That's what he uses for his game all throughout every phase of pass rush, run plays, everything. But his weaknesses, he's really inconsistent on run plays. Like you can see him, like his effort, his tackling. It's not the best on run plays. And I already said how he always never started a game at Iowa, and he's rough around the edges. Like he just flat out is. Like he's never started. He's inconsistent on run plays, pass plays. He's even a little bit inconsistent, but like I said, it's his size and his frame and his speed, just his athleticism in general. It's going to get him up on draft boards because that's what NFL teams want to see. So overall, I think I have him going in the first round. I don't think he's a first round talent, in my opinion. Watching him on film, I'm not overly excited about this guy like I am B.J. Ojolari or Will McDonald or anyone else on this list. But I think he's going to go mid to late first round. Like John said, 10-15 is like a perfect range for him. I could pick any of those teams and say he's going to go there. So I think it's up to kind of how the draft falls. Is there going to be a run of DNs? If there is, Lucas Van Ness is going to fall 10 to 15. So I'm interested to see where he lands.
Yeah, and you saw it with these last two guys. The combine is such a big factor to where
Yeah.
they end up and how they move up. That hey, these guys are probably second round picks, but because of that awesome 40 time, because of that combine performance, they're gonna be a top 20, top
It bumps
15
him up.
pick.
Yeah.
So it's big. Number 3, we got Miles Murphy from Clemson, 6'5", 268 pounds. Consistent production at Clemson. He started 3 years, had a total of 17 and a half sacks. The good. I mean, the size, the frame, the length. He's got, he's versatile. So, he's NFL ready in that way. He's great pursuit. He's got great pursuit for a big guy. Really quick first step, and he pushes tackles into the QB's lap all the time. On the bad, he doesn't really have a bunch of strategies to get past the tackle other than just bull rush. He's got to work on find a way to get inside of that tackle more. Takes a while to him to get into top speed when in pursuit, and he's got to improve as a tackler. There's a lot of missed tackles in the backfield. And like we just said, top 15 pick, 10 to 15, Titans, Texans, Jets, Eagles, Packers. That's where I think he is going to land.
Yeah, and then like we said, we think 2 guys are going to be in the top 10. We're getting into that right now. This first guy is Tyree Wilson at number 2. He's from Texas Tech, 6'6", 271. Last season, he had 7 sacks and 14 tackles for loss. He's great in the run game, and his tackling is impressive. Like, you'll see on film, he has a great wingspan. I think it's like 36-inch long arms, which is insane. He can reach out for these running backs he's diving for him, and he makes the tackle almost every single time. So it's awesome to see on tape, and NFL teams are going to notice that. So he also has great effort when he's chasing these ball carriers. And like I said, that's what gets him to those tackles is that effort. So I'm interested to see how teams see his film, if they see him as a really impressive guy. His weaknesses, his pass rush is really inconsistent. Just due to sloppy moves. Like, his pass rush moves aren't aced like a couple other guys we've talked about. And he does a lot of bull rushes and swim moves, but after that, like if he has to do a different move, nothing is really perfected, like I said. So overall, I just think he needs to improve his consistency in the pass rush game, and this guy's going to put the league on notice. So I think he's going to land at number 5 with the Seahawks. Pete Carroll, I think he's going to fall in love with him. Will Anderson's going to be gone, who's the next guy on the list, and I believe, I just think it's going to be a great fit for Seattle, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, Seattle's just an interesting spot with Jalen Carter too, because we both have
if Jalen Carter falls.
Yeah, we think Arizona's going to take our next guy on the list, and Jalen Carter's going to be there. And D-line is it's a need for Seattle. They got Drummond Jones in free agency, and add to it now, right? Do they get Jalen Carter?
Make it better.
Do they get, do they get an end? So it's interesting. Another team too that I like to point out is maybe the Raiders.
Number 7,
I don't think they're going QB. There's been talks about that, but I think they go corner.
Round, yeah.
Yeah, I think they go corner or they go edge rusher. So it's going to be interesting to see where he lands. Number 1, Will Anderson Jr. from Alabama, 6'3", 253 pounds. 3-year starter for Alabama, 34.5 sacks, with 17.5 of them coming in 2021. Ran a 4.6 at the combine. It's good speed. They're good built with great arm length. Get off is fantastic. Has a bunch of ways he can attack you from the edge. Athleticism and closing burst to stop edged plays is awesome. Tracks plays down from the backside, and like we just said, this pursuit. That's where he gets a lot of those tackles, just not giving up on play and chasing it down. The bad, if there is any, sometimes his motor / energy takes a hit at times, but that's kind of like every player too, with just how in shape you are. And if I would say one thing, I'd just like maybe improve on his run defense a little better.
Yeah.
But not a lot to fix. Not a ton to fix. He's an awesome player. I think he's going to be a Pro Bowl player at this next level. And I think him to Arizona at 3 is just a lock. It's a
Yeah,
lock at this point.
First 2 quarterbacks, first 2 picks, and then Arizona, they don't need a quarterback.
Yeah.
And
And you look at Arizona too, their defensive line, J.J. Watt retired, Zach Allen, who started coming along, their young edge rusher, just signed a big contract. I forget
Broncos.
with who.
Yeah,
Broncos.
yeah.
And so, yeah, they have the need. Didn't really address it in free agency. So I think it's a good spot for him, especially just with Jalen Carter, the off-field issues. I think he would be the pick, but with him being a little uncertain, number 3, you go with the safe choice, Will Anderson. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Just some quick reminders before we let you go. We're going to be having 2 episodes a week. On Monday morning and Friday morning is when you're going to get them. Just each one breaking down the position groups. And the next position group is the receivers that you will get Friday morning. And I have confirmation that Ned Stimpson will be back to help us break down the receivers. So very exciting there. But that's it. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Jenks Hammer Pod. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube at Jenks and the Hammer Podcast. If you watch on YouTube, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Agree, disagree. We want to hear it. Have a good week. We'll see you guys Friday morning.
See you guys.
Thank you for tuning in to the Jenks and the Hammer Podcast. Remember to leave a review and follow all of our social media pages at Jenks Hammer Pod for more content. Until next time, who dat? And go Pack Go!